Hello everyone. I would like to give you a brief outline on the course before I, share my recording for this particular topic. So this is a course for children with exceptionalities. This is a course for future teachers. So in the para-education program, we also train our teachers to handle children with special needs. So this is a course that's called Children with Exceptionalities, right? So in this module specifically, I'm going to be talking about partnership with families. It is very important for teachers to partner with families of children with special needs in their classroom, because children spend most of their time with family members and especially young children. So they are going to be in school, but it's very hard for them to distinguish between school and family. So they are going to, whatever you teach in the classroom, that also has to be taken back home, and they have to practice that as well. And whatever they are doing at home, you have to know very well about the family, the background, like for example, who is there in the child's home, how many adults are there, and like the siblings that the child may have, and how the daily routine is going to be for the child at home, and things like that, so that it is going to be easy, or easy transition for the child. Okay, so this is a little background, and the importance of knowing the family is the primary thing, especially when you are going to teach children with any kind of disability. So that is very, very important. So the learning objective for this would be like, what is the importance of this family involvement? Why should families be involved when we are going to teach children with special needs? So what are the factors that contribute to the family involvement is what we will be seeing. And also, what are the challenges and the characteristics, and how it is going to be for parents to have children with special needs. As teachers, how can we be supportive for the families? Because sometimes parents, like if you talk to parents, you will see that they are not going to be prepared to have a child with special needs, right? So they are going to be prepared to have a child when they come to know that the mom is expecting and they are going to have a child. Yes, but if a child is going to be born, and if the child is going to be having some disabilities, parents are not prepared. It's very hard. So as teachers, how can we support them? How can we support parents? How can we prepare parents, when we are going to educate the children? So what are the principles that are involved in the teacher-parent communication? That is very important. How do we communicate with parents? So, and what are the cultural beliefs? So what is a belief that the child is coming from? What are the beliefs of the parents? It's going to be very different. It's not our belief as a teacher, but we have to know what the parents' beliefs are, the family beliefs are, and who are the elders that are going to be involved, in the child's, welfare and stuff like that. And what are the beliefs? What is a linguistic background? What language do they speak at home? So, do they speak English as a primary language? Or is there any adult in the family that is speaking any other language? Like, could be a native language that the parents are interested in teaching the child? So, or, could be like children coming from other countries. Like, are they, speaking Spanish or something? Like, do parents know English? Like, what's the background? We have to know. And what are the guidelines for communicating with children with disabilities? So how do we communicate? There are, different, when we talk of disabilities, there is no one size fits all. Every child is, able in something and not very able in something else. So how are we to understand what the child is able to do and what the child is not able to do? So most of the things we will learn from family if the child is going to be a small child. So strategies for engaging parents and increase the parent-teacher support. We need support from parents, and as teachers, we must also support parents. So it is going to be all well for the child. So we have to keep the child, as the focal point in everything that we do. So whatever I do, is this going to benefit the child? Is this going to be good for the child? So these are the basic learning objectives that we are going to be going through. We will be doing some, small group exercises, and, in our virtual class, we will be breaking out in teams, and for my online section, we will have group discussions for, for engaging with other students and to learn from one another. So, I think this module is going to be, very, very interesting and collaborative, and it is also going to be very beneficial for the future teachers as well as parents. And I would also love to hear from you all, like, uh, how do you do things differently than, what I may have experienced or what I have in my understanding as well. So it's going to be a good learning experience for all of us in this module. So let's get started without any delay, and I would like you to, follow up on your assignments, on discussions and everything. And also feel free to reach out to me anytime. You may have questions in, doing any of the assignments, or even in any of, any of the discussions, or in anything that we may, have, or in your reading material, like, oh, okay, the material says this, and, like, can you explain this to me further? I will be more than happy to have one-on-one meeting schedules and scheduled, and we can definitely, navigate this whole thing, this topic together. Thank you.